Alright guys, Matt Burniston from the Mega Plush. Week 5, 6, I think. Missed a week last week. I think it's week 6, but I didn't do a week for who knows. Who cares? So what we're going to talk about this week, I made this little list, which was going to go through like everything we're going to cover in the order of weeks. And I'm up to the animation week, and this is the issue. This is the issue because obviously the animation is going to take a little while. Maybe like the next month, or maybe the next 6 weeks. So obviously I don't want to do 6 videos about animation. I also don't want to give away the story. I don't want to like show you guys too many of the shots because I don't want to spoil it for everybody. I'm going to show a few things today, but it's not really animation. It's some of the rigging stuff that we did. Gambi helped me out and we did some proxy stuff on the rigs, which is really good. There's been some issues with Modo being slow, unresponsive when you're animating and deforming meshes and stuff, so this really helps. So I just kind of want to touch on that real quick because it's kind of part of animation. It's kind of the part of the workflow for that. So I want to do that, and I will show a little bit of animation, but simple stuff like walk cycles and stuff. On top of that, I'm not going to do a tutorial as such about animation because I'm not a professional. I wasn't never trained to be an animator. I kind of just taught myself, as with all of this, but animation I feel like is one of them things that I just do it how it comes naturally to me. I haven't ever been taught to do, you know, this is the proper steps of doing animation. But 2 things that you should do. You should get this book, which is awesome, and this is basically what I used to animate. Whenever I need to do any kind of animation, this is always the first book that I pull out. And obviously watching animation, other animation, and not only animation, watching any kind of motion. You know, for the first episode, the bear running and jumping and that kind of stuff, I actually used a video I found on YouTube of a guy doing that parkour stuff where you run around and jump up buildings and climb and that kind of stuff. I used that pretty extensively to kind of get his motions, what I felt was right, kind of using that as a reference. The stripper from the episode 2, I did research on that. I got some pole dancing, not stripping, but pole dancing videos from YouTube, and used that pretty extensively for that. So I think that's 2 good things. That book and reference is awesome. Third thing is Brian Vowles. He did a whole bunch of tutorials about animation, which aren't specific to Modo. It's just he does them in Modo, but it's the principles of animation. So check that out because it's awesome. I watched them all, and they're really good, really helpful for somebody who didn't kind of learn how to do animation properly. And Brian's awesome, so it's worth a watch because he's just a nice guy. So yeah, I'm gonna jump into some stuff, but it's not necessarily gonna be, you know, step-by-step animation stuff. It's more just gonna be showing you what we've done the last couple of weeks. So saying that, let's jump into it. All right, so here we are in Modo. And like I said, I'm just going to go through a little bit of the rigging and touch on a little bit of animation stuff. So yeah, when you get into Modo, when you get your rig going, this is pretty much like something that you'd expect to see. You know, it's the ACS rig, which is awesome. So it gives you all these controls, and it works really well. I'm just going to turn the IK off on the arms real quick. But yeah, as you would expect, you can kind of grab these joints and move them around, and everything's weighted and everything works fine. And this is great. And you could totally just go ahead and start animating and using this as it is. This is a little slower, just because I'm videoing the screen. I'm recording the screen too. But actually, when you start grabbing these, it isn't really the fastest workflow. It gets a bit stuttery, and then like trying to scrub once you have animation, trying to scrub the timeline is actually a little difficult because of the deformation. But Gambi, when Gambi jumped aboard, he mentioned trying to do the some of the proxy rigging stuff, and I mentioned it a few times now, but he went ahead and did this character. He set this character up, and it actually works really well. So in ACS 2, it's only an ACS 2 thing, but I think it's well worth checking it out if you do a lot of character animation and rigging and stuff. Basically, what you can do is instead of having to select all these control handles and also having them cluttering up the screen, you can do two things. First of all, you can you set it up. Well, yeah. First of all, you set it up so you have these sections. You basically go and you split up the geometry. So you just split each little section where you want it, and kind of you then map it to the joint. In two ways, you're going to map it to the joint, then remap it back to a selection. But it's very easy to do. It's just drag and drop stuff. And there's a video on the ACS site somewhere, or the Modo site somewhere that takes you through it. I'm not that good with the technical stuff, but if I can do it, then you can definitely do it. So now basically you can either select the joint, the joint tool, the joint control, or if you just select the arm, you'll see that it basically forwards to that joint and it just basically selects the joint. So that works really well. Then what you can do is you don't have to have these controls up anymore. You can just hit this button and then it turns all the controls off. Unfortunately, the tail ones, because they are additional, I added them additionally. They're not part of the default ACS rig. But yeah, for the main part, it turns off the controls. So now instead of grabbing that chest controller, I just actually click on the chest, and then I can just actually rotate that here. And you can see there's gaps in it, obviously, and it's not, it's not 100. It's not accurate of what it's going to look like because it's a proxy, but it gives you a really good idea of how this is going to move. And on top of that is actually a lot quicker. And once you start dropping down keyframes, you can scrub through it, as well as you can actually press the play button, which over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years since I've been doing these Mega Plush films, I've never actually been able to use the play button. I've always done the right click and do record movie, OpenGL to movie. But yeah, it's good because obviously it doesn't show all the control handles. Before, what you would have to do is turn off your control handles, do whatever you need to do, and then go and do the record OpenGL. Now there's no real handles there anyway, so now I can just kind of go straight in and just hit the GL. But yeah, it works really well, and like, the animation process is exactly the same as it would be using the controls. The only downside is you can't. Let me turn that off. You can't select 2 controls at the same time, which is a little bit annoying because, like, if you did that with the if you did that here, you could grab that and grab that. Oops, grab the elbow and the wrist, and then rotate them both at the same time, like something like that. And also, once you have keyframes, you can select 2 joints and grab all the keyframes. So I could select all the arm and grab all the keyframes and move them forward 1 frame at a time. Unfortunately, you can't do that because with the proxies, because when you select the proxy, you can't then shift click another one. It just won't let you do it. So that's a down point. You can always just switch back and go back into the old school way, which is cool. But yeah, because it's not doing the deformers as well, obviously the speed up alone is worth it. Even if you don't, even if you like using the controls, it's still worth doing just for the speed up in the timeline scrubbing and that kind of stuff with the proxies bound. Unfortunately, you can't really see the full speed of it here because when you record your screen, it slows everything down. But yeah, it works really, really well, and I'm really glad I'm really glad Gambi kind of helped out on this. Again, I'm not very technical, so he kind of took the lead on most of it and set up the characters we needed. But I've animated 5 or 6 shots now, and it's been a very nice experience just working with this like this. Yeah, it's fantastic, man. So then, yeah, obviously just go into the characters and make walk cycles and that kind of stuff. And I've got a few of them here. I'll just show one of them real quick. So yeah, got that here, and you know, it doesn't play very well because of the screen recording, but you know, you get the idea. All I've done is just go in there and just using that book, the animated survival kit, absolutely awesome. Again, can't give it enough praise. Just using that to kind of do my sequence of animation for this, but yeah, it's a cool little. It really helps the process. Some of the stuff doesn't work with it. I have to go in afterwards and add the animation for the additional pieces, so the tail and the foxes and the faces and that kind of stuff, because that's using morph maps, and this is like a spline thing. Obviously, just go in and do that afterwards. But basically, the general workflow would be just to get the animation of the bodies down. Get that sorted, and then go back in and do all that secondary stuff like the faces and what have you. That's just my preferred way of working. I don't know if that's the right way of doing anything, but it works for me, so it's cool. So yeah, we got some walk cycles going. Got a walk cycle for the sock monkey and different bits and pieces. But then also we've got this intro. I've got this intro shot relatively finished. So I'm just going to play this, and we'll see how well it plays. And you can see actually this billboard. I got a little thing running on the Facebook page. If you haven't been to the Facebook page, you should check it out. Facebook.com/the Mega Plush. And if you go and make a comment of a little tagline we could put in here, you can. Whoever comes up with if someone comes up with a better tagline than I've got, then it's going to go in here and it'll actually be in the film. And I'll just re-render this little section out at the beginning. But yeah, some kind of propaganda about these sock monkeys that are supposed to be they're kind of like the like a SWAT team sort of thing. So it's like a little bit of propaganda about them kind of looking after the city. So if you can think of anything cool, a little tagline, head over to the Facebook page, type it in there, and someone's going to get their tagline in the film. But this is just the intro to the film. We see that poster, and then we pan down the building. We talked about all the textures and stuff of the building last week, but you can see these kind of came out really nice in the render. I know with a little bit of motion blur you don't really see, but the bump map works really well. It looks really three-dimensional. And if you didn't see last week's video, go back and check that out. And then we have the walk cycles of the characters just dropped in, and then yeah, a little intro to what the third episode's going to be. So yeah, that's about it for today. Again, apologies for it not being a tutorial, but if you want animation tutorials, Brian Vowles is your man, and there's a lot of other places to go to. But yeah, the Animation Survival Kit book, Brian Vowles. Cool. So that was the animation bits and pieces, and a few other things, a little bit of the rig and stuff. As usual, just wanted to say thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. Follow Instagram. Instagram's awesome because I've really been trying to push the Instagram feed. It's awesome for me just to be able to take snapshots and stuff and put it up there. On top of the animation, on top of this other stuff that we've been doing as well, I've actually been doing some 3D printing, which I want to do a whole week on 3D printing because it's awesome. But I actually printed this yesterday or the day before, and it's pretty cool. It's the obviously the elephant bust, which matches the it might not be in frame, but the tiger and the sock monkey and the bear that I've got up there. It's the next one in the series of them. So I want to do a whole episode on that. But But yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks again to Gamby. I'm not going to try and say your name again. I'm just going to call you Gamby from now on. So boo-hoo for you. But thanks to Gamby for helping out. He's been doing some great rigging stuff and started on the animation. Awesome. Brian Vowles, what you doing? Send me an email. I've got stuff for you to animate. I don't care if you've got a new job. This is more important. Everybody else, thanks for watching, and hopefully next week we'll get a video. But depending on how the animation stuff comes along, it might be next week or it might be the week after. So we'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching. Cheers.